In this lesson we're going to look at the Arrhenius definition of an acid. This is the classic definition of the acid which you're probably familiar with, even though it's got a fancy name behind it. So acids are substances that produce hydrogen ions in solution. So if we've got an acid and we'll call that HA and we add it to solution, we'll just put plus aqueous at this moment and the acid will ionize into the hydrogen ions in solution plus the negative anions. Okay, so an acid is a substance which will produce hydrogen ions in solution. What do we mean by a strong acid and what do we mean by a weak acid? Well, a strong acid is an acid which will virtually 100% ionize in solution. Okay, so we'll put 100% there, virtually 100% ionize. An example of that is hydrochloric acid. So if we pass hydrogen chloride, which is a covalent gas, through water, that's to say if we dissolve it in solution, it will 100% ionize into aqueous hydrogen ions and chloride ions, and we can therefore say if we dissolve 1 mole of hydrogen chloride in water, then we will get 1 mole of hydrogen ions produced. Okay, so hydrochloric acid is a strong acid. Now other examples of strong acids, as you probably know, are sulfuric acid and nitric acid. Okay, so these are the other common laboratory acids that we use. So what do we mean by a weak acid then? Well, a weak acid is an acid which doesn't fully ionize in solution. An example of this type of acid are the carboxylic acids, for example ethanoic acid. So for example, if you take ethanoic acid and you add it to solution, add it to water, then only about 1% of the molecules of ethanoic acid will actually ionize into hydrogen ions and the ethanoate ion. So you only get 1% ionization in the case of ethanoic acid as opposed to 100% for the stronger laboratory acids. So if we start off with a mole of ethanoic acid and we add it to water, then we expect to get only 0.01 moles, for example, of hydrogen ions. So another example of a weak acid is one that you're probably familiar with, which is, for example, when carbon dioxide dissolves in water to produce carbonic acid, and the carbonic acid will ionize weakly to produce hydrogen ions in solution plus the bicarbonate ion. So again, we will have a very low percentage of hydrogen ions produced when carbonic acid ionizes. So this is a very weak acid. So in the next lesson we'll look at the Arrhenius definition for a base, or if you like an alkali, and learn the differences between a strong base and a weak base, or a strong alkali and a weak alkali.